get over it. It is now 30 minutes after the hour. Time for Joseph Lee in the Impact Hour. Good morning, Joseph.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
How
How
you
you
doing,
doing,
Ron?
Ron?
I'm
All
doing,
right, everybody.
yeah, I'm doing pretty good this morning. I see, look at you, tie on and everything.
Hey, the color is pink. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is a month that's very special to my family. I need to point out some things. So my wife is a two-time cancer survivor.
Amen.
And she, she was diagnosed first year of marriage. I was in the military. And it has been a struggle for now almost 20 years. Cancer came back the second time, and praise God, she beat it again. And she has had, believe it or not, 3 mastectomies, right? And you just think about that for a second. 2 on one side. The cancer came back to the same spot, same area,
Oh,
twice.
man.
So this is a vicious disease. I've lost my grandmother. I lost my mother to breast cancer, and then my wife has been in this fight. So I would be remiss if we didn't, take a moment to pause and point the significance of, making sure that you get the breast exams. Look up Susan G. Komen online. Look at the resources that are there. Wherever you can get mammograms, get them done. Do your breast exams, ladies, and and it's a fight, and once you have cancer, it's a fight, but it's also a fight that you can win. I also have to say, to my African American sisters, y'all are at twice the risk, right? Almost
Right.
statistically. So we need to talk about this. We need to put it out here. We need to talk about access to resources. There was a truck, and I'm going to see if I can find it, that is going around and providing mammograms. That was just featured on Ken's 5 a little while back, so people can look at it there. I'll see if I can pull it up. But it's very important. I cannot stress the significance of, taking care of yourself, doing the breast exams. And at some point this month, and my wife has a crazy schedule, but I talked to her this morning about maybe coming on and saying a couple words about her struggle,
Yeah.
uh, and so she can, and I know we had Cheryl talk about it on one of the shows, but, we can't talk about this enough.
We have one coming on tomorrow. Tina, the nurse practitioner, she's coming on tomorrow discussing breast cancer. And at our church, I'm gonna give our church a plug, Praise Cathedral, Church of God in Christ. Twice already we had the mammogram vehicle out there. I'm doing it. So yes, it is definitely that. We got to sisters, we need you around.
Right.
Let's get checked.
And and I believe in a holistic approach too. Taking care of yourself, your diet, knowing your family history, right?
Yeah.
And then if you notice anything, if you're doing regular breast exams, if you feel a lump or something that's not right, go get it checked out. Don't wait. We have a tendency as people of color, period, to act like the doctor is the plague, right?
Yeah.
Acts like, and for some, and there's some reasons for that, right? Financially and otherwise. We used to have comedians talk about, we put tussin on it. Anything that goes wrong, we put Robitussin on it, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't have access. So those of us that now that's somewhat changed, a lot of us have more access, but that's something that we can't really play with, because it's nothing that we can delay on, and we need to be more proactive in terms of removing stress from our lives, stressful people from our lives, changing your diet. I mean, it's a holistic approach. And if you look at those things, stress, lack of resources, genetics, man, it's an assault, man, that, on our community, because those are factors that are a lot of times there, right? And then that changes somewhat when the economic level goes up, but then there's stressors to go along with fighting to stay in your role and staying in your job. And you've got all the issues that go along with that. So counseling is important because it helps you deal with that. Making sure you have time to take care of yourself. have a mental health, a physical day where just take care of yourself and feel good.
Yeah.
And you can talk to somebody like myself, a therapist, kind of help you get your life in perspective. Spirituality is important. I can't stress enough how important spirituality is in that fight.
Also, I want to mention men, what they don't realize. I looked at the numbers on that. 8% of breast cancer, men too. They need to check themselves too for lumps and everything. Because
Yeah.
I was amazed when I read up on it when V. Cheryl was on. I read up on it. There's quite a few men out there that doesn't realize that lump right there. We're men like, oh, it's just a lump, it's okay, and it end up as breast cancer. So men got to understand that they're susceptible to that too.
Yeah, it's something that we all have to be conscious of. With us is the prostrate that we have to make sure
Yeah.
that we check as well. But yeah, it's something that hits both male and female, but especially the females. We have to really up our consciousness and our efforts to fight this enemy that's really vicious. I mean, you would be amazed at how many people I've talked to and know of that are going through this fight. Just yesterday, one of my colleagues' friend reached out to me to talk to my wife for some support because her friend was diagnosed with breast cancer. And one of my buddies, one of my best friends that I grew up with, so a coworker of his wife was going through the battle, and she recently, unfortunately, lost her battle to breast cancer. So it's around. It's a lot of people having that fight, a lot of people having that struggle. So but there is hope. The things they have now to help. When my grandmother went through it, it's light years. My grandmother passed in 1982. I remember her struggle. I remember what she went through, right? I know what my wife went through, but the things they can do with plastic surgery now, the things they can do in terms of detection and treatment are amazing. They said that we may not be able to have children, right? But we have a beautiful 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
There's things that you can do, and they put a little humor in it. I know I'm going to be blessed because I had to go through menopause twice with my wife, right? So so the fertility, there's things that they can put your kind of put you in an early stage of early menopause so that you can have the eggs protected while you're going through chemo, and that's something that we were able to do, which I'll be honest, in the military I had some of the best insurance with being in the military.
Yeah.
When I was a lot younger when we had this diagnosis, but I had everything that I needed financially because I was in the military. So, for some folks that are thinking about maybe that decision or whatever, hey, that's another reason to consider the armed forces because, a lot of times that insurance that you get, it can be life-changing, and it was for us.
Yeah. Speaking about when you brought up a part about counseling and stuff,
Mhm.
about when somebody's diagnosed with breast cancer.
Mhm.
Me myself personally, I don't know the feeling or what they go through, but when they come to you and you counsel them without saying anybody's name or anything, what is the process that you go through? Because I know it's a grieving process, like why me? And you have to sit down and explain to them or talk to them on to lift them up on there's hope.
Oh yeah. Well, believe it or not, I don't do too much counseling on breast cancer. I was in the fight with my wife. We were in this battle together, and really, it is a grieving process, right? It's a fight. It's fear. It's overwhelming. But that's why I say faith is a very strong component spiritually to help them dealing with cancer. I know I leaned on the word a lot. In fact, I tell this story that when my wife was diagnosed, when she went through surgery, man, I was completely overwhelmed. I remember being in uniform and holding the Bible up, and I remember the prayer I prayed, And, I basically said that, God, your word can't come back void. So I'm claiming, my wife to be covered and to be healed. And, this enemy, it can't take my wife. It took my mother, it took my grandmother. I refuse to give Satan that. He can't have that victory. So we were fighting. I was in uniform, but my wife was the one that was fighting that lethal enemy, and God brought her through. So for me, it's a personal thing, and I haven't had any, anybody I can think of offhand that I worked with other than my wife. Um, with counseling, a lot of times women want to talk to women about that, right? But
Yeah.
I know husbands play a crucial role, and I don't know if you know this or not, but a lot of husbands actually leave their wives. It blew my mind.
Wow.
It blew my mind when I went through chemo with my wife that the nurse told my wife that a lot of husbands, when their wives are going through that, the worst time of their life, their husbands, a lot of times can't handle it. So,
Yeah.
so one word to watch when we get to these relationship discussions, and tonight when I start getting in there, we're gonna talk about really what marriage is about and really honoring your vows, right? And understanding that the man that you have, making sure that he's a man, and that he understands what his vows are before you get married. Just because he looks good, you think he's cute, and you see his potential, you better make sure that if something comes along, that he's willing to stay in that fight, not going to bail on you when you're fighting for your life, right?
Yeah.
It blew my mind, that was the case, and I'll be very transparent. Everything wasn't perfect with our marriage. We were arguing every once in a while, or frequently, and we were young and all that. But I knew, and my wife even, I'll let her tell. She even told me, I didn't have any kids at that time, and she said that, I understand there's a lot to take in the first year of marriage. If you wanted to leave, she gave me that option, and I was like, what are you talking about? This is a lifetime. I
Yeah.
think my Bible said in sickness and in health. So,
Exactly.
so that's what I meant. And that's what I meant to her. And I meant it to God. So I'm in it, I'm in it to win it. We're going to fight this thing out. And that's the type of husband, hopefully, that every woman, that's my prayer, that every woman would have a husband that would stick through that and do that, and if you're going through it alone, my prayers are with you. You've got my support and prayers, and know that there's hope. And hopefully my wife can come on and give some encouragement and be evidence that victory can be had.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy. You really need to have a team, you have to have support, and it's really going to time out for all the stress and all that stuff. When you're going for that, you don't have time to deal with nobody else's mess. Right?
Exactly.
You're fighting for your life, and if people can't understand that, they have to go. They got to go. Anytime to have drama with your families, like somebody in there got to, you got to set some boundaries up, because this is literally a fight for your life.
Yeah. And so you said it, because when things like that happen, usually your true friends will come out or your fake friends will come out. And
Right.
and like you said, you don't have time to fool around with that. You need support yourself, because you went through that with your wife, and you also need support from other people, because that's something that's going on that they may see you at a moment they never see you before. It's not a moment of anger. It's a moment, it's almost like overwhelming that
Yeah.
that you supporting your wife, but who's supporting you to keep you lifted up. But you did say that God Almighty was your support that lifted you up.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally, literally held me up when I thought I was going to pass out in that hospital. Uh, I don't, my combat boots were not that strong, but I felt like I was falling back and something was holding me up. And guess what? I was the only one in that room.
Yeah.
So that, and my wife's family hadn't got down there yet. Her sister hadn't got down there yet. And that was, that was an experience. So I'll talk about that experience more on the channel, and we're going to do a whole segment on that this during this month. And we talk about, to me, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But for those that know and have been through this, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month all year long.
Amen.
My wife is always talking to folks, always communicating about her struggle, and trying to provide, some light and some hope in that situation. So she's one of my heroes, man. My wife, really, I can't talk about it too much and keep my composure, but
Okay.
knowing what she went through, man, and knowing what could have happened, and just praising God that every day is a gift, and it changes my priorities,
Mm,
right? And you've been around me, you see how much time that we spend
yeah.
together as a family and all that, and that's a top priority. And matter of fact, that's one of the precursors. If you can't understand that I'm going to spend a lot of time with my family and that's my top priority, then I'm gonna have to shake you to the left. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
put a lot in my work, I put a lot in my business, but my top priority has been and will always be, my faith and then my family. And my wife is a key part of that. My daughter, obviously, but that's the priority. And if you don't take care of those things, keep that priority like that, there's going to be some other issues,
Right.
that you can understand. But I think my wife would tell you I'm one of her major supports. I'm her biggest fan. I'm also her biggest antagonist sometimes too. But I guess that goes along.
Yeah, it
I guess
does.
that goes along with the territory there too.
Yeah.
I can't pretend that I'm perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody is, right? But what I was told in church, as long as we're striving for perfection, and following, trying to be a disciple of being a disciple of Jesus Christ and striving for perfection, that's where our perfection is, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna hold my pastors to it, and understand that's what we're supposed to do. But knowing that when it's time to show up and show out for your wife, you better do it, because I wouldn't want to be the man that had to face God and say, when you went through that with your wife that I gave you, you bailed.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's going to go too well in heaven.
No, it's not. One thing I I've been around a bunch of cancer survivors,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed one unique thing about them. They are positive on life. They are happy, and people can't understand why they're happy. You beat cancer. You hear it's your family. Why not be happy? And people look down and say, "Why is that person so bubbly?" Because they're happy. They beat something, and they're more in tune with life.
Well, if you have, you hear it all the time in movies and all that stuff. When a person has a near-death experience, your perspective on life changes, your priorities change. And there's some people that say, even with a terminal illness, they consider it a gift, right? And they consider it a gift because they realize how precious time is, and they start living their best life
Yeah.
because they know that there's a expiration to this experience, that they understand. Me being a therapist, dealing with death frequently, being a crisis care responder, on going on calls, I see it. I see how quickly this life can end,
Yeah.
right? And then when you're dealing with something like cancer, and the death rate and how horrific this disease can be, it changes your perspective. My wife will tell you all the time that her priority is spending time with family and friends and going out karaoke. We do our thing. That's important to us. That's key. That every decision that we make, and the trips that we're about to go on, and the decisions that we're doing are really trying to enjoy life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And for us, that's spending time with family. That's spending time with friends that are extended family. That's the thing, that we making as many memories as possible, right? And enjoying this life, because it's not guaranteed. And cancer is just one of the enemies out here.
Yeah.
Driving to San Antonio, you can be gone at any moment on these highways and byways. So it's an illusion to think that life is guaranteed. But when you deal with something that can take your life, it definitely changes your perspective, and you have a joy in knowing that you survived something, and that every day is a gift. It truly is. That's what they call it the present, because it's a gift, right? And every day is a gift. There's some people that did not open their eyes this morning. right? And as the pastor used to say, their sheets have become their death wrap, and we woke up, so we need to be thankful. Those who are in this fight, need to get that support and know that there is hope, and that there is help. So Susan G. Coleman is one. Your church, there's a lot of resources out there, but let people know that they're loved, and that's why I got my pink on, my pink tie today. I'll be wearing this all day today to ask to let people know, and have my little cancer pin and thing on that say, hey, we're in this fight together, and especially in our community, in the African American community, and the communities of other communities of color. You got to get in there. You have to get in there. We need our wives. We need our women. The role that they play in our community. They hold it down. They hold it down. They've held it down. I've had a community of women that are responsible for me being here, right? And investing in me, and a community of men, right? But there were times when I was bouncing around in Flint. I can name some very strong women that made sure that I ate, made sure that I knew that I was loved, and I didn't have to go to some other things to seek that attention and affirmation, because I had it. People were speaking over my, praying over my life, when I could have possibly gotten caught up in some things that could have taken my life.
Yeah.
So we need, we all know about Big Mama, right?
Yeah.
And we got to keep my Big Mama around. Imagine if she wasn't there. So I know what happened when my grandmother passed in 82. It shook the core of our family. She was the patriarch of our family, So, thank God there were people that stepped in. There's so many, I'm not even going to start naming, because that'd be the rest of the show. If I started naming all these ladies, but y'all know I love you. And I tried to give them their roses while they're here, right? So, there's a lot of women, and I got to give a shout out to the AKAs and the Deltas, who have played pivotal roles in helping me to elevate my career, open doors, and of course my frat KSI, the Noops out there, we got to support our females, that our silhouettes that have gone through this struggle. And anything I can do financially or whatever, let me know, and I'll be there on it.
All I can say is wrap this up and just say we are stronger together. That's
Very
what
much
I realize. We are stronger as our culture. We are stronger together, and it's a I hate to say this, but it's a crying shame. The only time we get together is something tragic happens, and we should be getting together no matter what happens. We should be together instead of nitpicking and picking at each other. Like you said, tomorrow's not promised.
It's not. It's not. I mean, and that's something that we say in pretty much every family, every community, that we should have got together. We should. We only get together when there's a tragedy. You know what I'm saying? And that's the tragedy. That's the tragedy, that we let some of the stupidest things keep us from the people that we love. Petty things.
Yeah.
As if tomorrow is guaranteed, and it's not, right? And I'm gonna tell you something. That is something that I have to counsel a lot of people on. It's called in counseling unfinished business, right? When somebody leaves here and you kept yourself away from this person for years, and there were things that you wanted to say. Now, there's techniques and things that we can do to help you get through that trauma and get through that grief. But I'm gonna tell you, one of the best things you can do is be proactive, be the bigger person, and at least do what you can to mend the relationship. And that pride and, well, I'm right, they're wrong, type deal, that has caused so many rifts in families. Whatever that issue is, you don't want to not have the opportunity to say I love you to somebody. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have that opportunity, not have that opportunity to let them know that your love is bigger than whatever issue it is. So if you got somebody there that you haven't talked to in years, hey, reach out while you still can, right? COVID should have taught that. COVID should have taught that lesson. But for those who are still lingering, and got hurts and whatnot. You got to learn how to forgive. And guess what? Forgiveness is not just for that person. It's actually more for you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like I was speaking, we were talking one day, a group was talking, and somebody brought out a point which made a lot of sense. He said, it's a crying shame that the funerals we go to is our family reunions. And he said it shouldn't be like that. We should have family reunions before that person passed away, memories and all that. And I said, you know what, you are so right. We get so caught up in our own world that we forget what family's all about.
I was at a site this week actually, and the person passed at work. I've been to quite a few of these where the person actually expired while they were working, and it really kind of puts in perspective. You don't know the time, the hour, you don't know what's going to happen, but you better make sure that the people that you love know that you love them. Even you can go through something with somebody and still let them know that you care about them. I just can't deal with you right now because I'm in my feelings. I'm working through it, but let them know that you love them. Don't think it's assumed, right? And
Yeah.
that's for your own mental health and well-being. And then have those events, right? Now I get it. Sometimes it's hard to be around certain family members because when they drink,
Yeah.
God, come on now. We know how some of our family situations are, right? when uncle gets that alcohol in them or auntie, it's going to be an argument. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be this, that, and the other. But maybe hide the alcohol that day so y'all can have something. Or if they come liquored up, then just you got to learn how to diffuse some situations so that the babies can know their cousins and can know who their people are, right?
Right.
Even that person that's going through something, that's maybe dealing with alcoholism or addiction or whatever, they need to know that they're loved too. And a lot of times they're acting out because they're being shunned by everybody, maybe even rightly so, right? But we've got to learn how to love each other, right, in the family, and then we can maybe start strengthening this community, and and start making some changes. But sometimes it takes some family counseling. Sometimes it takes knowing how to get past issues that are really petty, but that people are focused on it. Yeah, I'm surprised that sometimes it's some of the issues that people come to me with, and that's tearing a family up. And it's also kind of sad what happens in a lot of these funerals too. A lot of people show up for the funeral that you haven't seen in 15, 20 years thinking that they're going to get something.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that too. And ask anybody, I don't know if I'm stepping on any toes, but if I am, I don't have a problem with that. I'm a therapist, so don't mind telling you the truth. If you ain't been around this person, didn't help in the care of that person when they were going through whatever they were going through, don't think you're going to show up and get anything. You shouldn't get anything.
Yeah.
If you weren't there for the support, things weren't right or whatever, it ain't time to come out and get a come up on when somebody is left here, walking around the house trying to see, oh, auntie such and such. I know that should go to me because I remember. No, baby, that ain't the time for that.
Yeah.
You're there to provide a support. And if it ain't in the will, chill.
But you're right about that. All families come out, they come out the woodwork. They come out the woodwork and they got their hands out. No, expect they're supposed to get something. Then when somebody else gets something, they mad at that person, and the cycle continues.
And now and then they ain't talking to the next funeral.
Yeah.
So we got some stuff to go through and deal with. But you know what? Don't feel bad if such and such didn't get something, ain't never been there. She just got to get in her feelings, and maybe if that person is you, check yourself.
Amen.
Check yourself because that material stuff, that sentimental stuff, if it meant so much to you, maybe you should have been there to help out what a person was going through. What they were going through. If whatever that was that you wanted, Yeah, and really these material things, I've never seen, I tell this to people all the time, I've never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse.
That's true.
Never seen one. Now, I know the Egyptians tried to do it. They tried to, all the kings put all their stuff in there and
Yeah.
I'll take it to heaven. But I think the reminder is that stuff is a couple thousand years old and it's still sitting in there. And
Mhm.
it's in a museum somewhere. So if the kings couldn't take it with them, what do you think all this stuff really means? Your gift and your priority should be your family. That's your gift.
Right.
The memories, those are the things that last and pass down generations, the memories and your legacy. And as we go into this season of the Day of the Dead, I can't say it in Spanish, but they believe that their loved ones come back, and they have those artifacts and things on the wall that that remind them of their loved one, and their loved ones come back and visit for a day. It's the memories that they're cherishing,
Yeah.
and that connection that they're building on. And I think we need to get back to those traditions within our family, where we pass on our family stories and positivity, but make sure we got some positive stories for people to remember us by.
Yeah, you're right. Because when I at funerals, I noticed that people sit down there and talk about the things that that person did, and they start laughing, and and that's it. Because it's very rare you hear, well, for me, that you hear somebody being negative about that person, because that's not the time to be negative. You're gonna get jumped if you know what I mean. But I watch how people talk about how that person was, how they uplifted their life, and you could see the gleam and glow in certain person's eyes. You could just see it and feel it, that they really loved that person and it really touched them. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah, hopefully, that's what happens in funerals. But let's just be honest. Sometimes it's hard to, and I know I'm talking to some of these preachers maybe out here. It's hard to put a silver lining on some people's lives.
yeah.
And if you live a certain way, it's hard to, sometimes put a positive spin on a rough situation. But that's kind of my effort in saying that, make sure they got something good to say at your eulogy.
Yeah.
Other than, hey, well, ashes to ashes, dust is to dust. If you get to that point, you don't have nothing positive you contributed, every knee shall bow. So I don't want to be up there with nothing positive.
Yeah.
You've been on earth all these years, and you haven't helped nobody. You haven't, followed my son. And listen, I need my salvation. I need to have my name in that book.
Yeah.
The Lamb's Book of Life. I know I believe, and I believe my name is written. So I want to keep my track record looking at least pretty good. I'm not going to be perfect, but I know I'm striving for it. Right. So I know my daughter has some memories. I know my wife. I know where I'm in good standing. Today. Anyway, so with my wife, but all jokes aside, I think I'm in the good category, right?
Yeah.
And that's the category that you need to try to live your life in and stay in, with those that love you. And just know that it should be easy, right? Because you don't know what tomorrow holds, especially in our community. We don't know.
Yeah. Amen to that.
So love on your family, love on those that love you. You don't have to get along with it. We don't have to get. What's funny is I always thought about this. We don't get along with everybody at work, but we still go to work. We still do what we have to do at work. You don't get along with somebody in your family. Oh, well, I don't have to deal with them. Well, until you do, until you have to. What happens when you need a kidney?
Yeah.
What happens, when y'all got to come together because you do lose somebody? Then you got that you got to put all that stuff aside then, as best you possibly can, and until you drink alcohol and then your judgment's impaired, then you fall out even at the funeral or after the funeral.
Yeah.
we just got some social skills. We got some things we have to learn and deal with. But my hope and prayer for us is that we will continue to heal and get better. And whatever part I can play in helping with that, hey, call me back.
Well, you talking about what part you can play. Let me tell you something about your number one fan.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I bowl with her every Tuesday.
All right.
And she told me, matter of fact, last night or a couple of Tuesdays ago, she said the one thing about you on how you break things down, and she used this word so the common people understand on how you break it down. And she said her favorite word, she said, you break things down logically. So once you break it down, they think about it and say, huh, I never thought of it like that. Because you are a true person that sit down, you can break things down that even a 5-year-old can understand.
Well, that's my education background. I had to break it down so
Yeah.
that 5-year-olds understand. And I had to break a lot of these concepts down so I could understand them going through this master's degree program, right? But
Yeah.
I appreciate the compliment. I'm hoping that some of these things that I talk about are processed, and then more importantly, they're being used in people's lives and families and perspectives. And if you can't understand it, you can't use it, right? So. I try to do that, and I hope I want to thank all the people who are listening. It's amazing when you tell me the numbers and the different areas. I'm always asking, hey, what the numbers do this time, or where are we at? So I'm just amazed at the people in England that are listening. Hello, UK, and hit our home area here, San Antonio, Georgia, California. Those are getting up at, was they 6:30, 5:30, whatever 4:30, whatever time they getting up to hear me.
Yeah.
I hope that there's some value, and please send in some more questions. And while we got some time here, I want to address those questions. I want to make sure that we talked about, breast cancer awareness a little bit, and at least one resource. But whatever, if there's any questions, I'd like to address those right now in terms of mental health or anything else that we talking about.
Well, it was one question somebody sent me. They're dealing with tragedy right now, and you pretty well addressed it already. They're dealing with tragedy right now.
I love when I do that.
And some of the family are pitting against each other. Exactly what you said, over a will. And she is distraught about it because these are family members she thought she'd get along with. But she point blank said this. She said, it's amazing on how when death happens, how the real people come out their feelings about everything. And she point blank said that she's depressed about that. And she want to know about being depressed about that. She put it like, is it a cycle she going through, or how long she go through it? And I was going to reply back to her, but I'm gonna leave that one alone, because me myself, I was going to tell her there's no time period on grieving. That's what I came up with. There's no time. It'll come as it come out. So help me out if I'm right or wrong on that one.
You gave great advice, Ron. Grieving is different for everybody. It is a process, and there's some good, and then there's some worse ways of going through grief. All right. And one of the worst ways is trying to put a timeline on, right? Trying to say, grief is not linear in terms of how you go through it. Sometimes you go through the different stages at different times, depending on who you are. When I go into a room or a building or a business, and people are grieving, depending on what they've gone through in the past, how much loss they've had in their life, this could reopen up wounds, right? So that grieving process could be worse for somebody that just lost, a loved one not too long before that. So grief is different, but I'll tell you, family strife during grief can make it a lot worse, right? So that's why I even talked about it. I didn't know that I was going to have that question, but I kind of addressed it. When people are coming for financial gain, or what they think they should get, right? It's kind of the wrong time. That's kind of the wrong time. That's that, I can only imagine what the deceased or the person expired would think of the priorities of the person that's coming to talk about this object versus the life that of loss and that the loved ones are fighting about,
Yeah.
So it's greed, it's anger, right? And sometimes a person's response is based on anger, and a person can be going through the anger phase. There's guilt of then trying to just hold on to something, the classical scene where the person barely hardly spoke to the person, but then they want to fall all out on the casket and all that during the service, and the family's kind of looking like, okay, I hand this, Academy Award, or what is it? Which one? I was the Grammy or the Academy for the Best Actress. I think it's the Academy, right?
Academy, yes.
Yeah. When we get the Academy Award for the best actress or best actor, you want to get all off into the casket with the person, but you wasn't around, right? And that's possibly the same person is about to ask for some money, or whatever the case may be in the situation. But we're human. People like that show up at situations like that and ask for money, ask for things. You kind of have to just overlook them.
Yeah.
You have to kind of overlook them. I know when my grandfather had passed away, there were some folks that showed up. Thinking, I took care of my grandfather for 15 years, before he passed away. And there were some people that showed up thinking that they had some things coming. They did. They had a meal at the repast, and then they were showed the door.
Yeah.
Hey, I was trying my best to hold it down, and I didn't see too much help coming this way. The fact that you were allowed to be with the family and eat a meal and celebrate the life, that's it. And I had no remorse about that. I had no remorse about that. So, they don't worry about it. They'll come back around when they need something else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I hate to put it like that, but, we've got to get past this thing. And I'm going to speak to some people right now about this, since I do a lot of family counseling. Look, don't let your family treat you worse than somebody out here in the street. Just because they're your blood don't mean that you have to be bothered. You can put that as a rhyme. I'm dropping bars out here for people, I'm a rapper and a counselor, right? Okay. Just because they're blood don't mean you have to be bothered. If they're doing nothing but bringing you angst, strife, I always got the hand out, whatever, that's abuse. You need to put a boundary. I'm dropping another bar. If your family members are abusing you, then you need to put that boundary up. Don't call me if the only time you're going to call me is when you need money. I don't want to hear that. Call Chase. They're the bank. I'm not. Now, if you want to fellowship with me, if you want to bring something to the table where we can sit down and fellowship and enjoy each other, go down memory lane, don't call me to go down memory lane if there's going to be a price tag at the end of it.
Yeah.
Family shouldn't cost me every time I talk to you. And if I have to talk to you every time you want something, guess what? We got to talk about your choices in life. Because I might need to call you for a loan one day. Hopefully I don't ever need to, but if I do, if all, you know what I'm saying? So, if it's just because of your blood, don't feel like you have to be bothered. Let them know, hey, listen, don't call me all the time for money, because I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I suggest to some people, when you got people like that always calling for money, always calling for something, set you up a little account and say, hey, when this account is empty, that's all I got.
Yeah.
I'll put a couple $100 in this thing every year, and y'all can, if you need $20, $30, whatever, go ahead, have at it.
Yeah.
Y'all better figure out how to budget it, because when it's gone, it's gone.
You
Oh man, cuz why you got to be like that, brother? Why you got to be like that?
get a job. I tell them, get a job.
Hey, listen, the military is always hiring.
And it's free to enroll.
It's free to enroll, and you know they got benefits. I just told you they got great benefits. You know, they give you, they pay you while you're going to school. I know it. I'm going to see some of them folks later today, and they getting two retirements they're working on, because they're federal employees, and they're getting you know, so they can work on that retirement later if they want to come back as a GS or whatever and work, or they're gonna get that retirement if they stay in 20 years. So either way, you know, you're gonna be out of my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Get you a job, get you something that you can travel, get you something that you can go ahead on. I talk to people all the time that's in contracting, right? You can do that 4 years, 6 years, get out, get a job as a GS-12, being a contractor. All right. Do something. You know, do something. You know, if you're not a help to your family, trust me, you're a hindrance. So, you know, that's how I'm just being real today. You know, so I'm listen. We need to be a help to our families.
Yeah.
And if you're not, that's okay. If you got some things, but listen, here in San Antonio, if you don't have a job, you ain't trying. You know,
you can walk down the street construction site and get hired.
And I don't understand that now. I went back to my hometown, and it's a hard time. People, a lot of people aren't working. I don't understand that. You know, I don't understand how not working is now becoming a mindset.
Well, to me, the pandemic did that, because when people wasn't working, they got paid more unemployment and benefits than they were getting at work. And so they figured, well, why I gotta go back to work to that job again? I was getting paid more, but it doesn't last.
Well, what did Biden say about a week or two ago? The pandemic is over.
Yep.
So what now? Because if the pandemic is over, guess what's going to happen to that money?
It's gone.
So back again, I don't understand why you thought my work increased significantly. You being a therapist, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And people were still working because they were paying me. You know, they had insurance and they were struggling and all that all over the world. You know, through my online platform, people were struggling all over the world. But one of the biggest misconceptions is not working is somewhat easier. People that don't work have to work harder than most people that are working.
That's true.
You get the minimal things. I never understood it. Like, you know, begging your family, begging friends, trying to stretch it. Look, go ahead and go into something. I'm going to help somebody else today. If you're planning to go to college, whoever you are, or if your kids are planning to go to college, make sure they go for something that they can get some money out of that degree. Please. Because these colleges will let you sign up for anything. It's a business. That's what college is. It's a business. If one of those degrees don't equal a paycheck, you in the wrong program.
Yeah, that is true.
So I'll tell you right now, nursing, 2-year degree, 6-figure income. What is there to think about? Oh, I don't want to change bedpans and take blood. So what? It's 150 other things you can do with a nursing degree. Get it.
Yeah.
Do something in the healthcare field, or do something that's going to at least provide your income and get out of your parents' pockets.
Yeah. I told my kids, they're growing up, find a job that there's a need, because people always gonna need something. You mentioned nursing. One of my kids went into banking. Other one went into the medical field. So they pretty well, and they said that's the best advice I could have gave them because here they are making their money. I can't think of when they first got out on their own. I remember helping them out, buying them this, buying them that. But after a couple years, they were self-sufficient and doing their thing.
Well, Ryan, we're gonna be talking about that, man, a little bit because um, I run into a lot of kids that they want to go on some of these things that aren't really guaranteed a check at the end of it. I was one of them. When I first, my bottom degree was in political science, but it was a pre-law curriculum. I thought I wanted to be a legal counselor. But what I really found out is I wanted to get into the psychology side and keep people from going to jail in the first place. What I realized is I got to get to them before they make the decision to get to jail, because it's a lot harder to get them out of the system once they're in the system, right?
Exactly.
So I got to get in the mind before they make the bad choices and decision. And that is, God had to intervene and say, this is really what I want you to do. That's what you think you want to do. And the reason I knew that, there was a lawyer that stayed across the street from me, and he had a hard time getting paid. And I'll be honest with you, I was like, wait a minute now. I can't, hold on. We gonna have to. There's like back in the day, there was that show called LA Law, right?
Yeah.
And I thought all lawyers were making, $150,000, $200,000 driving, or more, right? And once I realized all lawyers don't get paid like that, I said, wait a minute.
I'm out. Yeah.
Let me rethink this thing and figure out what I'm really supposed to do, because I know I want to be able to eat, eat pretty well, right? So I got to be able to provide for my family and do some certain things. So if I can't help myself, I sure can help somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So so that's what worked for me. So I had to look at it, figure out what I was good at, figure out what I can get a check from, and then go to the college and tweak my education to match what my skill set is, and then continue to invest in my gift, right? But the other thing is, most people can look at the occupational handbook. You go online and look up occupational handbook, and before you sign up for this major, see is that field projected to grow or decline over the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Because because one thing's for sure, when you graduate from college, if you're not going on a full ride scholarship, there's going to be a bill. Yeah. That's why we're trying to get this tuition. The average bill is $30,000 in loans. And that's average. Most people I know have a lot more than that. And all they did so far is just pass $20,000 and possibly only 10 unless you get Pell Grants. So you got to go to school for something that's going to pay you a check, because guess what? If not, you just add another bill to your life.
And so it's a big, I talked to some people that had a college loan up to $80,000.
And in the higher degree, there's some people that are career students, because as long as they're in school, they don't have to pay.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not going to talk. Listen, whatever your hustle is, I hope that works out for you. But the fact of the matter is, you got to really think things through, be proactive in life. And I know people that have, gone into a degree, and I've run into these folks. They don't even know what they're getting when they get out.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I don't know what my license will be. Wait a minute, hold on. You went to school for how many years, and you don't know what your license is going to be? You don't know what you're going to be getting when you get out. And that's the wrong time, to figure that out. You know what I'm saying? So the days of just going to college and guaranteeing you a decent life and income, it's not. And actually, college is not for everybody. Going to trade school, there's nothing wrong with going to a trade school, getting into heating and cooling. Look, if you're in San Antonio and you're in heating and cooling, you're going to be all right.
Oh, yeah. You're going to be more than all right.
You're going to be all right. Right. And that's good work. That's good money. So, look at the job, look at look at what's needed, and put yourself in that position. If you're thinking you're going to be a hip hop artist or a rapper and all that, first of all, if your kid is thinking about being a rapper, look at what's going on with the rappers nowadays. They're getting killed, a lot of them. And to get that level to like one of the greats, like Jay-Z or whatever, look, even Jay-Z would say he was lucky.
Yeah.
He was lucky. Especially for Jay-Z to marry Beyonce. He was real lucky. I'm sorry. I couldn't. Maybe I shouldn't have said it.
I believe that one alone because,
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna leave that one alone too. I'm gonna just leave it at that. But
yeah,
I do believe he was real lucky. I think he knows that he was real lucky. Unfortunate too. I think he rapped about that. He said there's a song where he said he almost Eric Benet himself. Is it? Oh man, and Jay-Z is a smart man, funny cat, man. But anyway, obviously, a lot of people aren't going to ever hit that level. And it's a dangerous game, right? To even be participating in something like that. But it's amazing how many people, the music industry and all these other things are wish list type stuff, right?
Yeah.
You need to have I always tell people, keep your feet on the ground while you reach for the stars. Make sure you're grounded. There's something that you can make sure that you can sustain your family, sustain yourself. And then if you want to reach for these things and become some artist or whatever, make sure that you can at least feed yourself and not going to be living in your mom's basement, or in her house while you still trying to be this great DJ, rapper, whatever passion that you're, pursuing. Passion does not necessarily equal a paycheck.
No. Sounds good. But like I said, there's no money.
I'm dropping bars today, Ron. Passion doesn't equal a paycheck, man. I need to start rapping or something.
Sound like you're writing a song right now. So
yeah, exactly. We need to go get to the studio and then put something together for family hip hop therapy or I'm just playing. I'm not trying to do that. So let me.
Yeah, I know, man. All right. Oh, wow, we're doing good today.
Hey, I was watching, man. We good.
We're doing good.
Yeah, we might end up on time.
So with closing, what do you like to add in closing?
Just again, cancer awareness. Get out there, get those mammograms, ladies. Be proactive in keeping that stress off you. Evaluate your life. Do a life inventory. If it's causing you stress, put an expiration date or an eviction notice on it. It's got to go, right? Yeah. Including your own behaviors and decisions that are causing stress. And stress can come from a lot of different things: finances, people, family, whatever. But change your diet, get those checked, get those mammograms done, do those breast checks, and guys too, like you said, guys can also have breast cancer, so get checked out. But that's what I want to leave with. And remember, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying.
Yeah, I will also tell everybody, if you don't have a church home, find one. Find a church home.
I just joined a great one, CBC, and it's a phenomenal church. Pastor Ed does a phenomenal job. My Sands came down and he was talking about kingdom things, and the sermon that Sunday was on kingdoms. That was confirmation. Hey, this needs to be my home while I'm here in San Antonio. And we've had just some amazing. We had a phenomenal series on trending, hard topics that a lot of people don't want to get into and talk about from a spiritual perspective. Check it out for those that want to hear some good stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of good churches out there. Pick one. And in these times, we didn't get into the politics today. We didn't get into what's going over in Ukraine and Russia. But listen, now's the time to get close to the cross. That's all I'm gonna tell you. We got a lot of things that only God can help with. So, we need to remember that, because they talk about nuclear war and all that type of stuff.
Yes.
You know, and Putin is definitely not the most stable guy in the world. And we got another unstable guy that may be trying to run for office if he's not in prison. I don't say his name, but I think we know who it is.
Yeah.
With that being said, you know, now I think we need to all be praying right now for our country and the world. So,
Amen.
all right.
Joseph, look at it. We did exactly right on time today. We are doing good, brother.
God is good, man. We done worked a lot in this hour.
Yeah,
So.
we did. Well, we appreciate you coming on board, and tell your wife that we love her and we want her on the show one time before this month is over with.
For sure.
And I will definitely make arrangements for that. You hear me, Sandra? Yeah, she that's the lady that keeps me in check right there. If I forget something, she is typing it in and said, "This is what it is, this is what it is." So Sandra, we appreciate you. So make sure you give them a call and let's get her on as soon as possible.
Yes, ma'am. And tell Sandra I said hey, and tell Brad I said hey as well.
All right. All right, Joseph, we appreciate it.
All right.
Anytime. You take care. All right. Okay, bye.